is Rockland BoCEs. But we do cross-contract services for BoCEs throughout the state. It's all billed by Rockland County BoCEs. However, services are provided outside of the Rockland County area. Just quickly. The Lower Hudson Regional Information Center, known as the RIC, and Southern Westchester BoCEs, they provide us with the majority of our technology purchases and professional development. Putnam Northern Westchester BoCEs provides our OBOS system, which is our job vacancy posting online. Ulster BoCEs does our records and inventory software. Eastern Suffolk BoCEs does our library software. Washington, Saratoga, Warren, Hamilton, Essex BoCEs does our Medicaid reimbursement. Westar 3 does our GASB 45 reporting, as well as our state aid plan. Finally, Erie 1 BoCEs supplies us with our WinCap software, which is the financial software we use in this. In terms of a historical graph of our actual expenditures, since 06, this is the layout. As you can see, from 11-12 to 12-13, we saw a significant decrease in our expenditures in BoCEs. We were able to do this through, if you remember, our network specialists. We no longer used the BoCEs program through the RIC. We were able to use a New York State contract for those services. And we did take back some students from the BoCEs program, especially. In red is our budget for the current 13-14 school year. This is a breakdown in terms of percentages. Largest percentage that we utilize BoCEs is our special education services, as well as our purchases of technology, internet services, and software. In terms of career and technical education, BoCEs offers an excellent program in a variety of areas in which kids can get different experience in education. As you can see it listed here, the number of students that participated in the various programs that they offer: automotive, construction, culinary arts, as well as the GED program. That was a cost of a little over $474,000 in career and technical. In terms of special education services, as Dr. Gustavo Green gave a further explanation of exactly what these categories are, I won't attempt it. We have BoCE service-centered students, there's BoCE district, other districts, areas, and BoCEs in district students. 117 students. Student tuition is our actual, as it says, the actual tuition which student we have to pay for a student to attend those programs. The related service portion is for speech, counseling, occupational therapy, as well as physical therapy provided by the BoCEs. And itinerant services are basically our teachers, specialized teachers that provide services for the hearing and visually impaired, as well as assistant technology. This is a breakdown of our instructional services purchases. Exploratory enrichment is our trips to the Challenger Center in Ramapo. The arts and education portion is programs that take place within our buildings that integrate our fine arts, music, dance, and drama. Environmental education was the actual expense, the BoCEs expense only of the campground trip. So 13-14, you're not going to see that piece of information in this report. And again, this is only the BoCEs expense, not the additional expenses that are associated with the trip. Okay. The science kits, this is using our elementary program for instructional resources in the STEM program. So this is the basic instructional material they use. It's purchased through BoCEs in order to receive aid. DocuTech is is a company or a service we use to do mass printings. So when we do the calendar and things like that, that's purchased through BoCEs. Again, receive aid. And about $20,000 in additional other services. So about $357,000, or about 2% of those expenditures. Professional development, teacher and principal training, about $230,000. ELA and math scores, about $7,000. The two softwares that we purchase, Rubicon Atlas is a database in which we house our curriculum maps. And My Learning Plan is a software that keeps track of our professional development, our in-service, and graduate credits. So the professional development section is about 1% of those. Technology, again, a large portion of our BoCEs expense, about 19%. Telecommunications includes our internet, supports our software technology. About $635,000. The hardware, this is our purchase of the technology. We're able to purchase the technology for BOCES and receive BOCES data the following year. So we see significant discounts of what we purchase for technology. Our hardware maintenance, this includes, obviously maintaining the equipment that we purchase, as well as our virus protection that we are able to get through BOCES as well. And IntelliPath is software, eSchools, ConnectEd, basically all our instructional software that we use in the classroom, board docs, anything related to that. And IntelliPath is our telephone and data lines that we are charged to keep those going. So technology, about $2.3 million, equates to about 19% of the BOCES structure. Athletics, majority of this is done in the Southern Westchester BOCES. They schedule our officials, they pay our officials, they schedule our games, they coordinate our section. So we do a significant amount of work for about $110,000, which is a little less than 1% of the state BOCES. Support services, this encompasses a lot of different areas. Our health and safety and security, this is our annual inspections, our fire, our elevator inspections, any testing we do done in air and water, trainings, crisis management trainings, things to that. It's about again, public relations, exactly what it says, it's what we're charged for that service. Teacher registration, this is the ASOP system. This is our sub-colony attendance system that the district uses, and that's our charge for software. Regional certification and recruitment, again, this is the OLOS system in order to put job vacancies online. This is $7,800 cost, as well as they help some of our teachers to accelerate their ability to get certified in certain areas. So they have to for about $7,800. And again, a mishmash of other services for about $18,000. That equates to about 2% of our BOCES expense. Final BOCES expense is administrative and capital expense. Administrative expense is the Ramapo Central District portion of the salary, benefits, supplies, equipment of the central office staff as well as clerical staff in Ramapo BOCES. Every district is portioned out that amount, and it's spread out through all the districts of Ramapo County. The capital expense, same thing, district portion spread throughout the district in Ramapo County. It's the portion for BOCES rentals, as well as any required maintenance at the BOCES facilities. So it's our portion of that share. Again, in total, for 12-13, last year expenditure was about $12.2 million of the 12-13 budget. That's approximately 10% of our total budget for 12-13. Any questions?
I know you've shared this before. Can you share how much we're saving by using BOCES? Like what the percentage back to us is?
It varies. There's different percentages depending on technology, salaries, and different associations. But for the most part, it's between 43 and 53% savings through utilizing BOCES.
And that comes back to what they call BOCES aid. Explain how that
Comes back to us in BOCES aid through the state. It also comes back in a BOCES refund. At the end of the year, BOCES will, for lack of a better word, they'll take their revenues and expenditures, and if there's any leftover money, they'll proportion that amount to the districts. Okay.
Just briefly, what the increase, the $500,000
projected increase. Do you attribute that to anything in particular, or just in general?
Yes. There's usually, as with a district, there's usually an increase per year for a BOCES cost. And again, that last column is the budget, whereas the year before is the expenditures. So it's hard to project exactly how much we're going to spend purchasing technology, for example, if you need to replace certain things that break or you need something else. Okay, so that's the actual budget compared to the expenditures. So, but basically, it goes up every year. Similar to a school district, they have their salary and benefits that increase every year to pay their employees.
How close are you probably showed us the numbers already, but how close were we for our budgeted 12-13 and our actual?
No, we're usually in line. Again, it's a projection. Like I said, it's very hard to put an exact amount of how much we're going to need to purchase or how much professional development we're going to need in a given year. But we are in line our budget is in line with the expenditures.
Can we have more than one microphone maybe next year?
I will have more than one. Fortunately,
Next meeting?
yes, absolutely. Fortunately,
Hope
this
nobody sick.
is Eric's fault.
Oh, that's right.
Thanks. Eric's fault. Where's that?
So I'm going to speak this evening a bit about Common Core implementation. I have an update. I believe I shared in October some exciting things that were happening with Common Core, and so I thought it was about time for a little bit of an update. As a reminder to those in the audience who may be very new to Common Core, the Common Core learning standards are the set of learning standards adopted by New York State in July of 2010. In K-5, these are very specific to ELA and math. In 6 through 12, they include history, science, and technical subjects. What's a little bit unique about the Common Core learning standards, well, in addition to be adopted by 46 states and some other things, they're the first set of standards which are mapped backwards from what students are expected to know at commencement in order to be college and career ready. Here in Ramapo Central, we are in year 2 of full implementation in grades K through 8, and we are in our first year of implementation at the high school. So Common Core is a very integral part of what our teachers do each and every day. Our teachers, our leaders, our support staff are involved in collaborating around Common Core throughout the district at grade level meetings, at team meetings, department meetings, chats in the hallway, chats in the lunchroom, all over the place. There is no way I could possibly attempt to capture all that is going on with Common Core. So I've picked a couple of things. Please don't be offended if I don't mention your school or what you're doing. There is really a tremendous amount of incredible work going on, so I have to make some choices in the interest of time. So I'm going to start with something that is happening at Connor that is a new idea, and what you can't see. Do I have a pointer on here? What you can't see is that this is a sheet which over here lists, in this case, the 4th grade math Common Core learning standards. And what's next to it, what you might be able to see, are a series of smiley faces. Those smiley faces are colored green and red by the student, indicating when the student it gets a question correct that's associated with that learning standard. In their notebooks, they may have a question with the learning standard indicated and a red dot to show where they may be struggling, a green dot to show where it's correct. This, at a very quick glance, gives teachers and students very quick information about how students are progressing towards a standard. It also makes these Common Core standards a little bit more real to both the students and the teachers. So this is a tool that Connor's just started and is using as a self-assessment tool for the student and as a visual for the teacher and a conversation piece for the student and teacher to talk about. This year, we are in the first year of implementation of the Common Core learning standards in algebra. This is both for 8th grade algebra and for algebra taken by 9th graders at the high school. So in math, we refer to the prior standards as the 2005 standards, because in 2005, New York State came out with a new set of K-12 standards. that were just for mathematics. So in the prior standards, a typical algebra question might be something like this. Solve the following systems of equations algebraically in check. It could have just as easily said solve the following system of equations graphically in check. If you've taken a Regents in the last 100 years, you've seen that question, or with different numbers. What's different in the Common Core is that in addition to being able to solve that problem, students might also be asked to write a system of equations that would have the solution to grade or any given solution, and then to verify it algebraically. Students who can solve the traditional can follow an algorithm and solve it. They may or may not be able to solve this question. Students who can solve this question can almost always solve the traditional algorithm. Another algebra example, and this is a little bit newer of a topic, wasn't covered on the Regents until, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, 18 years ago. And that in the 2005 standards, students were asked to draw a box and whisker plot. If you're wondering what a box and whisker plot is, here's a picture down here. In the Common Core standards, rather than just being asked to construct it, which is, again, an algorithmic exercise, if the student can remember the steps, they can do it. There's not much understanding. If I really wanted to, I could probably teach my 4th grader to do it. She wouldn't understand anything, but she could do it. Rather here, this question compares 2 types of roller coasters. Wooden roller coasters and steel roller coasters, and then the students are asked a series of questions. Added here, the added twist here, is that the question might not be able to be answered with the data given, and the student would have to explain why or why not. So again, the student who can answer this question can probably do this, but not necessarily vice versa. So that's a couple of examples that our algebra teachers are using. I want to talk about world language for a minute because this is not directly linked to the Common Core, but it is still some very exciting work that our world language teachers engaged in the beginning of December. They worked with Greg Duncan, who's associated with the TEL project, and spent a significant amount of time working towards also preparing our young people in the area of world language to be ready for the world beyond high school. Back in October, I shared a lot of information about expeditionary learning. For those of you who may or may not have been here, expeditionary learning is the grades 3 through 8 resource for ELA that is provided on Engaged New York. The expeditionary learning units or modules are associated with social studies or science topics. They're aligned to the Common Core, and back in October we looked at a little bit detailed approach of one of the skills which is called close reading, which is a technique by which students learn to approach more complex texts, harder things to read. Sorry, that was a technical question. What we've done with, in thinking about the expeditionary learning units, they do start in 3rd grade. So some of our 3rd grade teachers shared the challenges of kids seeing this type of work for the first time. So our instructional facilitators at the elementary schools have taken on the challenge of creating a grade 2 unit to prepare our students for this jump that's going to come in 3rd grade. So they are currently working on that. That is a work in progress. So if you think you should have heard about it and you haven't heard that much about it yet, that's okay, because it is currently being worked on, and you will be hearing about it in the next month. The unit is an introduction to this integrated type of unit, and it's inclusive of a lot of the similar instructional components found in the EL modules, including anchor text, close reading, and text-supported standard-based learning activities. And I just want to take a moment to show you the work. In this overview, which you may not be able to read, it focuses on guiding questions. In this case, what is the power of citizenship, and how can citizens make a difference? and will ultimately culminate in a performance task where our second graders will be writing a powerful paragraph about an issue in their community. This morning, we actually a bunch of us got to go over to Montebello and visit Super Kids. Super Kids is a research-based core reading program that Montebello adopted last year. It's currently in K1 there and will expand to grade 2 next year. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Our literacy specialists from across the district were able to visit both kindergarten and first grade classrooms at Montebello, and it was a great experience for all of us. We also have expeditionary learning units at the middle school and the high school. In 6th grade, they are currently preparing to implement Module 2A. In 7th grade, they're updating the curriculum map to reflect the Common Core changes they've been implementing this year and balancing the exposure between fiction and nonfiction. They've also borrowed a bit from their math colleagues at the middle school who provide weekly assessments, weekly assignments for students to work on that are correlated with the Common Core. And now in ELA in 7th grade, they've also developed weekly assignments. And in that, the students are asked to read and answer questions that are aligned. They also include the RACE strategy, which is a strategy they've been teaching in class for helping kids to reword the question, answer the question, using specific examples from the text, and explaining the evidence that they cite. And that's a process highly associated with the Common Core that students in all grade levels need to do. In 8th grade is currently piloting Module 1 of the expeditionary learning. 9th grade, the high school modules are not actually written by expeditionary learning. They are written by the Public Consulting Group, which is the company that was awarded the RFP from Engage New York. So it's a different people writing it. They're intended to be written along the same lines. In 9th grade, we'll be implementing Module 1 in the 3rd quarter. And that does culminate with the reading of Romeo and Juliet. I was asked by a parent this week if the classics were done, and I assured her they were not. In grade 10, we are currently looking to revise a unit that is aligned with CCLF using a rubric that's been approved by a number of states that are using Common Core. In addition, the freshman writing seminar at the high school, the curriculum has been rewritten to reflect the 3 main writing components: narration, information explanation, and argument. And so those are the quarters in which the freshman writing seminar focuses on each of those types of writing. In addition, throughout the district, we're using electronic resources to do this work. You've heard me mention some of them in the past: Achieve, Compass Learning. There's several others. Here, I've just included a sample from Castle Learning. Castle Learning is currently being used at the high school, and this is a copy of a report. And what this shows you very quickly, blue means the child got it right, red means they didn't get it right, or they didn't get enough of them right. This is an individual student report. A teacher can also run reports like this for classes. All of it is Common Core standards aligned. So you can't read it, but it really does align with the standards. The bigger picture here is a document we use to help teachers with their incoming students, which provide information on how students did on the prior year's state assessment. And that information is among those BOCES costs that Mr. Siebert was talking about. I do want to end. Last week, I doubt you missed this news, but by the slim chance that maybe you were hiding last week somewhere or on vacation, one of our teachers was recognized as the Lowhead Educator of the Week, Peggy Sheehy, for her work aligning and writing a curriculum. writing a curriculum that incorporates World of Warcraft with the Common Core. So I just want to play you the little video piece that LOHUD included on LOHUD.com. There might be an ad first. I can't see that.
We're making it easier than ever to get away with our $9.99 weekend specials. Get a great weekend car at a great weekend price.
Pick Enterprise.
We're not endorsing everyone.
No, sorry, I couldn't figure out what it was.
Where can the innovators at Chevrolet get discounts on their car insurance?
MetLife, of course. Nice ride.
Get your insurance where over 40 million employees get theirs. Take the first step to youtube.com/MetLife.
You go. Get that beautiful beard in there. Excellent. Okay. We're really taking the literature, the accompanying novel, we're taking the gameplay and all the aspects of the gameplay, and we're taking our lives as sixth grade heroes, and we're inspecting them and looking at the vortexes between them, and it's just a remarkable way to learn. And if I had told you, and you didn't hear about this character, what would you have said to me? Oh, there's she being a crazy redhead again. It allows for the student who maybe is not normally the hand waver in a classroom situation to have an opportunity to be an expert or to be at least a contributor. But it really levels the playing field in some ways, and in other ways what it does is it allows leaders to emerge who may not have emerged otherwise. So it's really great to see. Are we not men? Never mind. That's a reference you won't get. You'll get it later.
So congratulations to Peggy and on this recognition and on her creative applications and integration of the Common Core standards. I do want to thank all of the teachers for their hard work implementing the Common Core. As I mentioned, there's no way I could have captured all of that work, but this was just to give you a little flavor.
They all deserve a round of applause.
Is there any questions?
We're not using only the Engage New York curriculum. You pulled in a lot of other things into there, so we're not waiting for the modules and things like that.
We are waiting for modules because every time one comes out, we want to know if they know any secrets that we don't. And we are looking at all of them. We're using them to different degrees in different places.
Thank you. Okay, moving along the agenda. We are at information items.
Maureen and I think it was just Maureen and I, attended a bullying seminar that was sponsored by PTA Council. Mr. Jackson presented it at the middle school. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of people there. It was freezing cold, but we do live in the Northeast. But there was probably about 30 or 40 people there. But he is such a great presenter, and if anybody ever hears him presenting anything, he's a really engaging presenter. He had us kind of laughing and really keeping us interested in the subject. Very knowledgeable with respect to the subject. I think whether you are a victim of bullying, a child who has bullied or a child who's a standby or didn't know what to do, it would have, that presentation benefited all of the above. And parents too, because he went into a lot of the legal ramifications of it and what have you. I believe, Maureen, correct me if I'm wrong, he was going to put the presentation on a website. I know that was a question asked, but yeah, I don't know what it was. Hopefully, maybe we get it on the district website, or maybe it was PTA Council. I don't know if they have a website, but something to look at. You know, people are a little shy when it comes to that, maybe, but something to look at and maybe talk to your child about it.
Okay, I wanted to say a big thank you to the music department. I was able to attend the Junior War County concert this weekend, and it was just amazing. The talent on stage, you would never know that they were middle school kids. So I know there's the senior coming up, which is at Suffern High School. I hope if anybody's here from the music department, you can get me a ticket, because I'd like to go. And Sunday, I don't know if anybody, if he was able to go, but an amazing job by Mr. Mugno and his team for that unbelievable tech challenge. The kids were incredible, the robots were great. I hope we can do it every year. I told my even volunteer. He said he didn't want me, but that's okay. And just last thing, there was a question at one of the board meetings about school board trainings, and I just wanted to mention that there are mandatory trainings for every school board member on the essentials of school board governance and fiscal oversight. And also, I know every board member here does take additional trainings throughout the year, above and beyond what we have written in our policies.
There is one tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know Marliese is going. I'm going.
I'm going to
On the
watch
phone.
I'm going to watch the website.
Any other informational items, board members?
I guess the last informational item for tonight, and I have a privilege to speak about or to inform the public, is regarding the veterans exemption. It's something that just recently passed. It was signed by the governor. I believe it was December 19th or thereabouts. We've had it reviewed by our attorney. He's given us some preliminary advice, but it is something that basically the towns and villages have had the opportunity to opt in and allow for an exemption. It's not a total exemption from taxes, but it is a partial exemption. But in order for the board to proceed on this, they will have to hold at least one public hearing to determine if they want to proceed. The second public hearing would be to discuss the amount of the exemption, and then the third public hearing would be the Gold Star exemption. These hearings can take place all on the same day, of course, but these public hearings will be scheduled, and in order for this to be in effect, if the board decides to move that direction for the 14-15 school year, the decision will have to be made by March the 1st. And so those public hearings will be taking place shortly. We'll post the information on the website. We'll also put notification out in the paper, notify veterans organizations, and then the 20 or so veterans that have contacted me, I will, of course, communicate with them. It's a fairly tight community, and they will, of course, notify their other veterans. This will be the last time I speak about it because I'm a retired U.S. Army person, and so when it comes to the board's deliberation on this, I recuse myself. So at the next meeting, for those of you who attend Montebello or whenever they have the hearings, I will have to leave the room because it's something that, because of my status, I could benefit from. So to avoid any conflict of interest, I will recuse myself, but it is an honor and a privilege to share that information, and the board will be considering this in the next 6 to 7 weeks.
Thank you, Dr. Adams. And basically what Dr. Adams said is there is a strong interest on the part of the board to explore this option with respect to the veterans exemption. So as a result, we will be speaking with legal counsel to set forward a date for a public hearing. As Dr. Adams said, in terms of the rollout, you'll be receiving information on that. So, any other informational items? Okay, the next part on the agenda is the public comment portion. Just again, in terms of ground rules or parameters, so people realize it's an opportunity for you to come before the board and to make a comment. You can ask a question. It may not be answered because, as I said before, it's not the policy of the board to engage in an argumentation or debate type scenario here. It's for us to listen. And obviously, based on some of the things that Dr. Adams said and we saw tonight, the board has been listening. We hear what you're saying. There is a 3-minute rule. Don't get mad at Angela when she yells time. It's not her fault. She is just a timekeeper. Sometimes people glare at her. I know when people get up there and they speak, they tend to lose track of time. But we do have a number of people that may want to speak, so please, as a result, be courteous, and I ask that you respect that. If we have people that do want to come forward, we ask that they come to the podium, state your name, and your comment.
Okay.
Hi, I came to the August board meeting in Hilburn, and I brought a question to the board. I have not been made aware of any response, so I'm going to just bring the question up again, and maybe there's a few other people here tonight who will agree with me. Last June, when I attended graduation, I was really struck by the fact that the boys and the girls wore different color robes. I know with all the issues that are going on right now, this may seem really minor, but in my household it's not. I believe very strongly that separating our children by gender in the graduation processional in the year 2014 is not politically correct. But also, there are many children who have gender identity issues. There are children who are transgender, gender fluid, and asking them to wear a robe that may not be comfortable for them, I think is also something that you need to look at. So I'm going to hope that, as in colleges where everyone wears one color robe, we are going to move to doing that as well, because I really don't think that it's beneficial in any way. We don't separate kids by socioeconomic status, by race, by IQ, and I don't think we should by gender either. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Diamond. I have a son in high school and a daughter in middle school. First, I want to thank Dr. Adams for his comments at the top of the evening. They were reassuring, and I hope to see that come to pass. But I continue to remain mystified by the $11 million that's been set aside for tax certs. It's not clear to me, given the fact that over the last 5 years, the district has not had more than, has had about $4.5 million in tax certs. That's roughly something slightly under $1 million. I don't understand, I continue to be mystified by why the district would see fit to put aside a sum that's 10 times greater than the amount they've ever had to put in payout in any given year. It's not clear to me what assumptions are being used, other than the fact what I heard tonight was there are many assumptions that go into it. It's a guessing game. I understand that. But there's got to be some assumptions that are being made. Is the assumption that each tax cert is going to be one in total and you're going to be paying out 100%? There's not, especially when you set that against the history of the last 5 years, I don't understand why that would be the assumption. Moreover, given the fact that money can't be set aside and held for more than 4 years, what plans are being made to identify the monies that have been sitting in the CERT fund and the CERT reserve and is going to be put back into the general fund? I don't know if that's the money that's going to be used to keep programs from being cut. I I certainly would look forward to hearing something about what plans are being made, what assumptions are being used to create a tax reserve as high as it is. I just still remain confused by that. Thank you.
Well, my name is Michael Curley. I'm a graduate of Suffolk High School. I just want to note that I think it was very competent that during your meeting, a lot of people couldn't hear your meeting because you didn't have any microphones. So you were having conversations amongst yourself that wasn't heard in the general public, which is pretty incompetent this day and age. Okay, so please work on that. Another point I'd like to mention is that you have the public participation at the end of the meeting. You had a good 70 people left already, right? Now some of them, not counting the younger children, that would have left anyway. But it's now 9:45. They have to get home, some people put their children to bed and do other things. I would consider strongly, if you want to have dual public sections, but have one earlier. So if you want public involvement and really hear the people, they'll have a chance to. Because I'm sure there were people here that didn't get to talk and wanted to, okay? Now last year I came in front of you, and I gave a speech that I believed in. I believed that keeping that tax cap was important. Under the tax cap, all right? But at that time I gave that speech. I still believe in that tax cap, because when you compute a 2% school tax increase to a village tax increase in, let's say, Suffolk, it comes to about 14%. If you could, because our numbers are so much higher, it's about 1.2 million per 1% on I think the school budget or something like that, over $1 million, where Suffolk is, let's say, 80,000. So so every 1% of a school tax increase, to me, it's about a 7% village tax increase. So it's strong. So I believe in protecting the community as well as protecting the school. But the reality is when I gave that speech, it had to do with the tax cap, is what I was talking about. Okay? I didn't go over your budgets. I assumed what you put forward was fair and correct. Mr. Long, I'm going to say it straight to your face. You have a fiscal responsibility to check those, okay? As the gentleman said here, Mr. Diamond said about the last 4 years, he did some of his research, okay? Well, that happens, history, okay? We all don't have enough in the bank to cover everything that may happen in our lives. If Avon or some other big company came and we took a hit, you could go to these people and say, listen, we have to raise money, we have to do a bond over years, and people would understand. It's not for you to keep in some non-interest bearing account where we get no benefit of. People are every week making it from check to check, day by day. You can't hold their money, okay? You not only could have came across, all right, with under the 2% tax cap, you could have came with probably a no % tax increase.